Bali welcomed over 1 million visitors. The flight statistics for May 2022 at Bali's Ngurah Rai Airport has been provided. During the month, the airport had a 64% rise in passenger traffic, with over 1 million people passing through the terminal. The principal port of entry for both local and international passengers is Ngurah Rai Airport. In May, the airport's management team published official numbers showing that 1,006,663 passengers were serviced on 7,002 flights. In May 2022, domestic travelers made up the great bulk of airport arrivals. The domestic terminal building welcomed a total of 772,116 people. Despite the fact that domestic passengers accounted for about 3/4 of all arrivals, international arrivals showed the largest increase in numbers. From April to May 2022, international arrivals grew by 107%. Nearly 250,000 international visitors visited in Bali, with the recent easing of COVID-19-related restrictions assumed to be the reason for the large increase. The pre-arrival PCR test for fully vaccinated passengers was eliminated on May 17, according to Bali. Officials also made it easier to use masks in public places outside. The Visa on Arrival scheme was also expanded by the federal government to encompass 72 nations. The restoration of budget carrier flight schedules to Bali can also be attributed to the increase in foreign tourists. Emirates, the world's largest airline, returned to Ngurah Rai's runway in May for the first time in 2 years, making it easier for passengers from the Middle East to reach Bali. In mid-May, AirAsia restarted flights between Perth and Bali, and Vietjet began service between Bali and Ho Chi Minh. In a press release confirming the latest data, Handi Hitiawan, general manager of Igusti Ngurah Rai International Airport, said according to current regulations, there is no longer a requirement for COVID-19 test results for those who have taken booster vaccines or complete vaccines for both domestic and international passengers. This makes things a lot easier for folks who will be flying. From Jakarta, the majority of domestic passengers travel to Bali. Even before the epidemic, Jakarta was the primary source of domestic visitors to Bali, followed by Surabaya and Makassar. The majority of international arrivals in Bali in May came from Singapore, with Melbourne and Kuala Lumpur following closely behind. The information distinguishes between travelers' origins and nationalities. Despite the fact that 92,928 passengers arrived from Singapore, making it the most popular departure point for Bali arrivals, Australians topped the list with the most international arrivals in Bali once again. In May, a total of 48,000 Australians landed to the island of Bali. 15,341 passengers from the United Kingdom and 14,932 passengers from India came in second and third, respectively. Australian visitors typically account for more than 1/4 of Bali's yearly international arrivals. In 2019, 6.28 million international visitors visited Bali, making it the largest year for tourism in the island's history. The main season for tourism in Bali is generally July and August. This corresponds with the extended school vacation. In the Northern Hemisphere, summer vacations in Australia are popular. The peak season of 2022 will undoubtedly be better than the combined peak seasons of 2020 and 2021, albeit whether it will break the 2019 record remains to be seen. As tourists go to Bali in droves, the tourism industry is working hard to ensure that they have a good experience. Local governments and the federal government are balancing related regulations while maintaining clinically acceptable community transmission rates for COVID-19. Bali was downgraded to PPKM Level 1 on June 8, the lowest restriction level in Indonesia. Although consumers must still wear masks indoors and on public transportation, the regulation permits the retail sector to function at full capacity. Officials are keeping a tight eye on caseloads and are hoping that the limits will be lifted soon.